And greetings, everybody. Whoa, whoa, whoa. See something here. Gotta change a couple of things here. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to... We're at here. There. All right, there we go. Let's see. Hold on. Gotta change a couple more things here, gang. Sorry, I thought I had everything together. Oh, there we go. We do have it together. Awesome. Welcome back to This Week in Star Citizen. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and appreciate you guys being here with me today. I had some technical issues today, which I am not happy about. Literally within 30 seconds of me getting ready to push the start button for my stream, my internet went out and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was trying to look at email, all this stuff, and then it finally dawned on me. I think my internet has gone out. I thought something was going wrong. Anyway, I'm glad to be back today. Hope you guys are doing well. Today's Thursday, August the 10th. And yeah, as you guys know, as I mentioned last week, I'm trying to get back into a pattern of live streaming again middays. I am starting almost 50 minutes late. My intention was to be here at 12 noon, but I'm here now. And so hopefully for the time that we have together, we'll get to do some sharing and stuff, but I appreciate you guys being here. Today is This Week in Star Citizen. It's my time where I kind of talk about things in the community, but it's also Therapy Thursday. I'm hoping last week we didn't get to Therapy Thursday. We went so long going over all the stuff that had happened in the community. I really didn't have time to do it. So this week, I'm hoping that I'll have time to do it. And Therapy Thursday is kind of like to be, I can't, should I call it Therapy Thursday or Thursday Therapy? Therapy Thursday, Thursday Therapy. You guys let me know which one sounds better. But the idea is that people can come in and talk about things that aggravate them, either in Star Citizen or about Star Citizen, or they don't like about Star Citizen. I don't know. They're frustrations. The idea is for you to come in and chill out, blow off some steam. We talk about it. Hopefully you'll feel better when you leave, hopefully, maybe you'll feel the same. I don't know, but that's kind of the idea for Thursday Therapy. So we're going to do that the latter part, but at the beginning, we're going to do our little intro of what's been going on in the Star Citizen community. So thanks for being here again. Let's jump into it right off the bat. I know I promised that I was going to be going widescreen this week, and I promise I will, because I'm going to do it when we're doing the game. I didn't convert for this show though, but when I'm gaming, I promise you, I will make sure that I'm in a bigger screen mode than this. But I did blow up the screen so that you guys can read this a little bit better. Okay, Shipwreck. Thirsty Thursday Therapy. Oh God, that's going to be an even longer title. All right, I'll put that on the list. That might be workable. I don't know though. Thirsty Thursday would be good to sit around and talk and drink and talk Star Citizen. Thirsty Thursday Therapy. I might be telling people that if you need therapy, you need to be drinking. I don't know. Maybe. All right. Well, let's talk about what's going on during this week, or what has gone on during this week. Let's see. The very first thing here, I don't have my mouse in the right place. Jeez. I'm going to go back to the very first tab here on the RSI website, which is Ship Showdown. You guys know that Ship Showdown has been both a lot of fun. It's had its controversies. I'm not sure, where your head is in relation to Ship Showdown. By the way, one of the great things one of the fun things, not great, one of the fun things to me about me doing this stream is that you guys can come in and talk to me. So there is a link in my page there. If you're interested in coming in and sharing your thoughts about what we cover, you're always open to do that. So if I see you in the queue, I'll bring you in. If I don't see you in the queue, just type it in the chat for me, because it means my eyes are in two different places. But you're more than welcome to come in and share your thoughts about the things we talk about on the show. Again, Ship Showdown's coming up. This year, they did a thing with the community call starting last week on the 7th through the 21st, where they want people from the community submit what visuals, graphics and stuff, right, of what they think are their pick, or some of the ships that they think will be great. And so here's some examples that we've got here by Policus01. That's an interesting, I don't even know if you can call it camouflage. I don't know, but that's an interesting little concept there that they have there of the tumbril. That's the MT, I think. Yeah, the one that came out. Oh, it's got the Irish green to it. So I guess that's what that is. Just another different kind of pattern. little octagon or snakeskin pattern. Is it octagon? 1, 2, 3. Hexagon pattern. Okay, that's interesting. I saw this the other day. This CIG posted this in their newsletter. This one by Zase. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Zase. I guess it's Zase. But this was kind of cool, and they had this thing about what did I do to get this interrogation. There's a like a little cutter or something in the middle of that picture, if I'm remembering correctly. But that's kind of a cool picture. Let me see if I can blow that up. See if I can scroll through all of them that way. And will it let me do all of them, or is this just his? Yeah, this is just his. But this is the picture that he put here. Yeah, it's a cutter. It's surrounded by a bunch of Drake Corsairs, which is interesting. That's an interesting little spiel. Let's see. Here's one for Volt Vulture. You know, as you guys know, one of the things that's interesting. I won't even talk about the blasphemy of that image of writing on a 600i. But one of the things about this is that memes seem to have their influence when it comes to this Ship Showdown thing. And this one here, a lot of people, I don't know, I like the Vote Vulture thing, but he loses my vote because he did it on a 600. Well, it could have been worse, right? It could have been 890. All right, anyway, that's pretty interesting. Let's go to this other one here. These things are moving on their own. I didn't want them to move on their own. This one's by Shockbreaker. Okay, if I click on it, it won't go anywhere. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool. That's a cool graphic of him towing the ship behind him. I like that. That's pretty neat. The cutter. Let's see what the next one is here. The Mercury. Now, some of these, yeah, these are some of the ones that are made by JDRF. Is it JDRF, JRFD? I forget what their acronym is for their company, but their designs. But that's one of the models there, and that's pretty cool. I know they were really excited about releasing those models into the community. I haven't purchased one yet. I've been waiting on them to put out the 890, and they said it's in the works. It's something that they are thinking about producing. So, but a lot of people will do. And this may not be theirs. This actually, no, this is too small. This is actually someone's 3D printed model. Now that I'm looking at it, and I'm pretty sure. Let me. They say. No. Wait a minute. So when JDRF released their model, I bought one straight away. No, that is. Okay. That is the model that they bought. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I was wrong. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Those of you who love the old Drake Corsair, on the side of it, it says, I am awaited in Valhalla, which is pretty cool. I like the Drake stand there. That's pretty neat. And let's see what else we got here. Hey, Queen Imani, how are you? Hi, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Asperia Talon, the Talons. Interesting. I like this, but man, I don't know, Pangora. I think you need to emphasize the ship a little bit more than the company logos. But that's my 2 cents of an opinion there. Okay. Zulu Foxtrot puts out the Eclipse launching. I guess that's a double dog over a triple dog over here, hot dog over here. Interesting. I don't know the significance. The torpedo and the buns. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. The 400i. That has been superimposed onto the head of some type of gull or bird that has a fish in its mouth. Dr. Schackenbauer. Interesting. Okay. What else we got here? I can't. Easy Rider 66. It's a vulture, multicolored. Why are you moving? Stop moving. Okay, maybe somebody's gonna have to translate that. This is wreckage. It looks like maybe it's just landed in some wreckage or something. But that's cool. Nice little diorama, I guess, of that model. That's pretty neat. Okay, interesting. I'm not sure how Drake would feel about that, but I get the idea of Drake with I guess like a Edward Scissorhands kind of thing going on here. Is that what that? I guess that's what that is. Wrong answers only. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what this next one is. It seems like a lot of people are into this whole thing with the Drake. Oh my god, I went to the wrong page. Um with wait, what is this? Did I jump too far? Oh, I did. Okay, let me keep going here. What's up, New Soul? Let's see. Let's go back to where we left off at with Drake with this one. The 400i. This is that Lego? It looks like Legos. Yeah, Legos, I think. Yeah, Lego 400i. Okay, that's interesting. It's pretty big. Now that I looked at it, I didn't realize there was a stage behind that thing. That thing's big. Oh my god. Okay, very cool. Oh boy, somebody went all out here on the Retaliator. Go back. Someone went all out on the Retaliator here. And again, I'm assuming this is a 3D print. I don't think JDRF has produced this yet. Yeah, it's a 3D print. That's pretty interesting. I always remember Jared had one of these that someone gifted him a long time ago, and you guys will see it in the shows from time to time in the background on the wall. It was in a plaque, and it was. I always thought that was pretty cool. I always wish they had produced these, and CIG had produced these. Let's see. Here's another one by Policus01 of the Redeemer. Policus has these interesting paint jobs. This one's like a puzzle type paint job on that one. That's interesting. Let's see here. Here's another 3D model, or the is this 3D or is this JDRF's thing? No, it's custom made. Okay, that's a custom made one with a nice little Crusader logo underneath. You got the little alien in the background there, the little face hugger. Okay, very cool. Um, I see there's some dialogue here, so we have to see what this actually says with Marge Simpson. Let's see what it says. I just think they're neat. Okay, interesting. That cutter. All right. Everybody likes. I am surprised that most of the time when I see the cutter, people use this base color. I'm surprised that there aren't more people that'll use any of the skins whenever you see that ship, which I'm really surprised about. But Policus is chopping them out here, putting out a whole bunch of them here. This is like the new Mirai, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Fury. Okay. I mean, folks are really producing these models. This is crazy. The 3D printing thing has just become such a big thing now. Yeah, look at that. Very cool. Put a lot of work into that. There's a lot of detail. Very cool. Okay. Another animation cartoon here of Carrick. They've set this whole Carrick thing up as a whole camping thing. Let's see what this is here. Throwback to the the Great Gibboning. Okay. You guys remember this whole Great Gibboning thing when the Carrick was coming out and everyone was Gib Carrick, Gib Carrick. That was the big thing. Let's see here. I can't read all this. Gib livery, please. For cold nights outside. Pure. I can't read that. God, it's so small. Aliens doing the thing. Okay. I'm not sure on that one, guys, but evidently someone's still voting for the Carrick, even though I think the Carrick has won like twice or something. I know it's won at least once. Here's one here. Interesting here of the Mercury Star Runner. I'm assuming that, I don't know if that's their thing going into Pyro, voting for the Mercury Star Runner. I'm not sure. I don't think that that's the way Pyro's dynamic looks, but interesting. Different paint skin on the MSR there. I guess we can't even call it the MSR anymore, right? It's the Mercury. It's just the Mercury. It's no longer the Star Runner. SLTC Mactinix. I love this. This is a rendition here that they did like a whole diorama at Arcor. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Different type of paint job. I think that's a max. Yeah, it's a max. Very cool. And what's the next one here? Sakani. Is it the paint job that's different on here? The Phoenix, the Conti Phoenix. Okay. Can't tell what the difference is. I see they've got some pinkish purplish color up here, but maybe I'm missing out what the difference is. The Conti deserves it. Okay. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Conti. I'm not a fan of the interior. I love the exterior design. I love the views, the windows in it, and everything else. And you guys know I like a lot of touring and luxury ships, but yeah, I to me the Conti could. There's the interior needs a rework. That's all I'm going to say about it. The interior definitely needs a rework. Let's see here. That is the Cutlass. Is that made out of? What is that? A painting? Oh, it's a skin suggestion. That's a pretty wild skin. All these are pretty cool though. Kind of got a little bit of a Andy Warhol. No, not Andy Warhol. Is that Picasso later in his life? I don't know. But I like the whole color scheme thing with the patterns. It's different. Easier to get shot at, I'm sure, because it's not like it's a camouflage. I mean, but it's pretty cool. What is this one? This one is the Drake Corsair, but is it made of something? That it's like Asian writing on the side there. Just the spaceship explorers challenges. Okay, it's just fan art. It's cool though. Interesting. Oh, okay, I see. They did it like a town, like a city. Duh, I'm so blind. When I saw the trees, it kind of finally clicked. That's nice. It's different rendition. Very cool. Okay, here's another old favorite. Why do I keep clicking on the wrong thing here? Here's another old favorite, the Valkyrie. This looks like this might be a 3D print. Yeah, it is. 3D model contribution, 15 centimeter tall resin model. It's been painted special white finish. Pardon me. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. The Valk. I don't think the Valk is one. Conquer the Unknown. That's pretty cool. With the Corsair. You guys see it? Very cool. Right there on the staff, or the axe rather, the weapon. That's very cool. Okay, I like that. A Reclaimer. Okay. I can't see what ship that is that they have stripped down. Is that a C2 maybe? By Orpheus. Come on, stop moving. That's pretty cool. Reclaimer. I think the Reclaimer won one year, I think. M50. This is Polakis again with those paint jobs with the little hexagons. That's another one. Polakis has been putting a lot of these in. Oh, he's got it for different ships too. Oh, that's not the 8x800. That's the MSR. I mean the MISC ship. Only submitted a screenshot, but may try to submit another one if I can. Okay, Admiral, you dropped something into the competition. Very cool. Yeah, memes seem to be the thing. I mean, evidently more and more people are doing them, and evidently CIG latched onto that. This is by Ghost of Jeb. That's nice there. That's interesting. You have to really look for it, but the ship is in there. Trauma rescued. I love that. Goblins on its way. That's very cool. You guys see that? Cutlass red in there. Very interesting. Took a lot of work to do that, though, to get that in there right. That's pretty neat. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, we got a lot of these. I didn't think there were that many, or that many last week. Kazad Or. I can't tell what ship that is coming into atmosphere. What is that? Ghost Rider 2953 coming. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. I love the patterns of the artwork for this. A 600i. He's just done it with a rendition, some type of filter or something. That's nice. It's different. People may not recognize it, but it's different. Give him that. Is the Mercury again? Very cool. Wow, look at the paint job on that Drake. Wow, by Vex God, I got to remember how to say these numbers now. That's 10 plus 100 plus 3. I don't even know if that's right. My Roman numeral reading is horrible. Ooh, excuse me. I like that paint job. Wow. That's pretty elaborate. Doesn't have any other pictures of it. Wow, I wish I could see that. That's pretty cool. Where You Gonna Run To is the title for that. Very nice. Very, very nice. Everybody's throwing these cutlasses up here. Goodness gracious. There's one with like some 8-bit type artwork. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay. What is this? I can't even tell what that is from here. I have to open that all the way up. Oh, it's a vulture. It's a vulture. Is it clay? Yeah, it's like a clay vulture. Neato. Boy, oh boy. Somebody broke out their kids' Play-Doh and went crazy, huh? All right. There it is, the Gladius. My buddy Colossal's favorite ships. Resin 3D, 15 centimeters tall, painted by hand. Hope you enjoy it. Nice. Nice. I'm really waiting to see 3D printing get even more defined. I mean, I've seen some pretty cool stuff, but I don't know if it's the printing or whether it's the finishing that people need to do afterward. But that's pretty nice. Okay, we got through them all. Very cool. Let's see here. What is this? The Mole. The Mole's lore is a medium-sized multi-crew mining ship. Okay, somebody did some pretty elaborate stuff here. Wow. Okay. Oh, somebody's kid put that together there. Look at the vulture. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of artwork out here. Those are nice. Those are great paint jobs there. This one here is definitely bottom one is definitely the base model, which is pretty neat. Okay. Drake Corsair. Okay, what is this? Inferno. Okay, is it a video? Oh, it's on Twitter. Okay, somebody just put out a whole video thing. I won't go through all that. All right, anyway, I would like to know what you guys think this year should be the winner for the Ship Showdown. You know, will it be another meme war? You know, will memes be what would take over this time? I like that one, 600i. That's a video. I got to come back and check that out. Yeah, what do you guys think is going to be the ship this year? Or, you know, I'm not going to say the ship. If you were to elect 4 ships to win this year, what 4 ships would you pick? Those were the community calls, and then like starting on 2 weeks from now, on the 23rd, the live showdown starts. We all start to begin to put our votes in. CIG will give us an opportunity. They'll categorize things by tiers, and we'll start punching stuff in. And yeah, I would love to know what you guys think which should win. I do believe that the cutter, which a lot of people put in, is very popular. I think the cutter is going to be one of the ones that wins. What else do I think could win? That could win. I just saw it on the screen. The Mirai. I think the Mirai could come in as something that people would be interested in voting for. So I'll go with the Mirai. I'll go with the cutter. And after that, I'm not really sure what else people would vote for. And it also is going to be dependent upon what CIG puts into the race against what, right? But everything doesn't go in. So I'm not sure. But I'm going to go with those two. Mirai and cutter are definitely 2 that I think will go in, that people will put a vote out for. Okay. That's that with that. Let's move on. I'm going to go back a page here. And yesterday, the roadmap roundup came out. Wasn't a big one, but there was some stuff here that I think would be interesting to talk about. That was released yesterday. Jake dropped this at 1:00 in the afternoon. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Every 2 weeks, we accompany the roadmap update with a brief explanatory note. We already know all this, right? With that said, let's go ahead. Let's dive into this week's roadmap. So notable changes for August 9th. The release view. The following deliverable has been passed to its final review. Therefore, we're toggling its status to committed for Alpha 3.2.0. Physicalized cargo updates, adding new functionality to accommodate the release of the MISC Hull C. This includes both automated cargo loading at LEO stations as well as SCU containers up to 32 SCU. I'm not really sure completely what this means all the way. I know what some of it means, obviously. And that's the fact that cargo containers, and I'm assuming, again, going all the way up to, because it says containers up to 32 SCU, will all be physicalized. So like last night, I was moving one SCU or two SCU cargo boxes yesterday. I can't remember what size they were. But we don't have them all in the game. Well, I shouldn't say that. They are in the game. The different SCU containers are scattered about. Some of them are at the different landing zones, some of the cargo decks, but we don't access them. We don't use them. But CIG is saying now these are going to be physicalized and usable because of the Hull C coming out. So in other words, you won't be attaching hundreds of boxes onto a Hull C. You'll be probably attaching 16 or 32 SCU boxes if you want to move something, if you want to use something that big. As you guys know, the boxes that we currently use can go onto like the Hull A, but obviously putting a bunch of those boxes on a Hull C would take forever. So I am curious to see how this is going to be done. Now they say it's going to be both automated loading and LEO stations. Now I'm not completely sure. It includes both automated loading at LEO stations. We're not sure how that's going to happen yet because we don't have any tools to move large cargo boxes onto ships until either tractor beams are upgraded beyond the small multi-tool or tractor beams are implemented on ships like the Caterpillar, on ships like the Taurus, on ships like the Cuddies, and especially the ship, the SRV, the Argo SRV. Moving large cargo boxes manually, physically, is not going to be a thing yet. Now, who knows? Maybe they'll drop that in at some point in 3.20 or some patch later. We know the SRV is being worked on. It's been worked on for a little while now. We've seen it in a pretty far along state. So hopefully when we get that, that will step up that game. Also for ships like the Argo, what's it called? I can't even remember the name of this ship. The Raft. The Argo Raft carries 3 32 SCU containers on it. It has a tractor beam. Right now, those containers are glued, super glued to the body, so they can't be removed. They can't be dropped, even though you can carry things inside of them. But hopefully we'll see this physicalized cargo thing make it so that ships like that now become functional. It also means you're going to have somebody who knows how to handle cargo. You have, I think the Argo, if I remember correctly, yeah, the Argo Raft actually has a station for tractor beam users. So does the Caterpillar. And so we're going to see how that all plays out in time. I know on the Taurus, that bottom turret is supposed to be now a tractor beam. And so that's going to be another area where you're going to have somebody. Well, I guess you could do it yourself, but obviously if you've got somebody who will work that tractor beam for you, it'll be a little bit better. So yeah, that's the big thing that they've got going on there with the release view. Nothing else other than that. It's a pretty small list this week. They do say something else about the progress tracker though. And they say with this update, we wanted to make you aware of a few upcoming team changes on Star Citizen to better support upcoming tasks and to accommodate the additional development resources coming in from our Montreal studio. The USPU gameplay feature and systemic services and tools teams are being reformed into a pair of new teams. These teams will be the North American PU gameplay feature team and economy team. The majority of the USPU and SST's tasks will be given to these new teams, along with a few going on other teams. We'll have more info on these teams, their deliverables, and their schedules in the future. But for now, we're updating USPU and SST's schedules to the end of quarter three, to end in quarter three. I'm sorry, can't read. Additionally, we're also introducing the vehicle gameplay feature team. This team will have a focus on the persistent universe and its vehicles, with our existing vehicle feature team remaining on Squadron 42. All three of these new teams will have their schedules updated on the progress tracker very soon, but we wanted to give you an early heads up. Okay, so some new teams being created, some being merged, some folks being sent to some other teams. I'm actually excited for all of these for a couple reasons. One, combining working the North American team with Montreal and folks in the US all working together now for game features, communicating together, which to me is great. Okay, because we know Montreal has been really kicking it. I mean, they've been putting it out, they've been working, and not that the other teams haven't been, but we just know that Montreal's just been doing it. Also, the fact that they mentioned about the economy team. Now, this is something we haven't heard. Whenever we think about the economy, we've thought about Tony Z. We know Tony Z has some folks that work with him, but now to see that there's maybe an emphasis now going toward economy, something that people have been saying for the longest time. Why they get frustrated with certain aspects of trade, gameplay, cargo movement, because they feel like there's no economy. We know there's some things that you can do, but it's just for the sake of doing it, but nothing that is that impactful. Minor impact, but nothing that impactful. So hopefully that's what this new team will be doing, is start implementing economy into the verse, because we know that's going to be important for trade, particularly with the prospect of Pyro coming online, where moving resources back and forth from one system that is fairly plentiful to a system that maybe isn't as plentiful, or maybe a system that offers different types of resources. We're going to need some type of economic gameplay going on in order to make gameplay feel good and substantive. The other thing, though, here that's interesting is the vehicle gameplay feature team. Now, that one, I can think of a million different things on that one. Vehicles have been in the game for a while, but there really hasn't been any reason or need for them other than when people outside of the community, in the community rather, have created like things like the esports, right? That has given people a reason. And now that we have racetracks in the game, that's given people reason for many of the vehicles as well. Now, the problem with vehicle is that vehicles for CIG means also ships. So I don't want to limit this to four-wheeled vehicles or bikes, because usually when they say vehicle, it could mean either. So the reason why I'm looking forward to this is the idea of the fact that they're going to start thinking about how do we use our vehicles in some form of gameplay. Not that they just exist in the verse and we've got to figure out things to do with them, but now there's actual reasons for them. Now, I will say this. The way CIG has been putting out, ground vehicles, that's like the tanks. We've got a new tank coming in. There's word of them working on the X1. Then there are all the other vehicles that are in the game already. I do hope that they start implementing something that allows us to start using those vehicles in game for some reason. Now, what those things could be, I don't know. Beyond racing. I mean, racing's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against racing, but I do want something that's mission based. And maybe there's some reasons why you have to use a ground vehicle versus something that's airborne. And I'm hoping that CIG creates some gameplay reasons for that. And I know they've talked about there could be reasons later, covert reasons because of weather, areas that are just too dangerous to fly into, and so it's better to drive into them. So I'm hoping that CIG kind of, starts to bring some of that out. And there's so much in relation to ground vehicles that we just haven't seen yet. We know they were talking about working on roads, things of that nature. But I really would like to see reasons for, loading our vehicles up into our MSR, I keep saying MSR, our Mercury or our Cutlass or the C2, that you've got to land a certain place and then drive in the rest of the way or ride in the rest of the way. So I'm hoping that's one thing. In relation to vehicle gameplay, as far as airborne goes, then I'm hoping that they'll start implementing some things that, you start taking the right tool for the right job, certain type of aircraft, certain type of spacecraft, based on need, not just because I can use, not just because, I can use it, but I have to use it. There's a reason why I have to fly a Valkyrie versus flying in a, Cuddy Black, that's what I'm really hoping starts to happen, that there's reasons for that. Uh, Other ships that are very specialized, like for example, like the Cutlass Blue. Um, I really want things like bounty hunting to step up so that, in order to capture people and transport them, you have to have a Cutty Blue or a Hawk. Those ships are needed. So therefore, if I want to do bounties, either I've got to earn that ship in game, either I own that ship ahead of time, or one of my friends has one and I say, hey, I want to do some bounties. Can we go out? Yeah, I really would like to see specialized ships start to really become, their jobs start to rise up out of the dust, so that players can kind of feel like there's a good reason for owning this ship and not that this just because it carries cargo or because I can move people around in it. But that's just my 2 cents on that particular one. Okay. All righty. Let's see. Nobody told me which ships. I was hoping somebody would say what ships that they want to see win this year in the what's it called again? Some people who wanted to see the Ship Showdown. What ships you think should win in the Ship Showdown this year? Give me some thoughts there. I'd love to hear what you think. Excuse me, I'm getting a little thirsty. Okay. My voice is going. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, Whitley's Guide to the Constellation Phoenix is in here. I do want to know what you all think about some statements that were made in the Squadron's monthly report. One of my friends mentioned this to me, and evidently there were people who, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but there were some statements in the report, and forgive me for not knowing exactly where it is. I think it was under animation. Was it animation? Yes. When we got to animation, this first sentence spooked a lot of people. Last month, the animation team moved from alpha to beta work. Now, I really want to emphasize this term beta work because there were people who thought what they read was that the game has gone from alpha to beta, that the game has. And I don't think by any means that this is what this is saying. Okay. I think that take this for the grain of salt of what it is, that basically they've moved to the next stage of work in animation. Let me give you an example for why I'm going over this. Let's see, I'm going to type in something here. We can look at this together. Okay, so what I want to look up at, and I know there's different, I've had this conversation with plenty of people. This is under Game Development Stack Exchange, okay? And well, maybe I shouldn't read that one because that one's kind of a, let's see what's a different one I could read. This is a good one, explaining game development. Okay. I want to read this a little bit here. I'm going to blow this up so you guys can read it along with me here so we're not all blind. Alpha and beta stages of game development explained. A large video game project usually lasts for several years before it gets officially released as a complete product. To keep track of the progress and the maturity of the project, game development studios divide projects into different phases or stages. Alpha and beta are some of the stages that a game development project goes through. While a game goes through many stages before an official full release, the alpha and beta stages are more popular among gamers since these are final stages that the game goes through before it's marked complete. And it's during these stages that gamers start to get a glimpse of the full potential of a complete game. What are the alpha and beta stages of game development? There isn't a single, mind you, this is a good point. As I said earlier, there isn't a single or universal definition when the alpha and beta stages of a game development starts and ends. Each studio has their own twists and definitions to these terms depending on how the studios work internally. However, generally speaking, most studios roughly agree on certain things when it comes to the alpha and beta definitions. You can think of it this way. A game is in alpha stage when it has most of its features complete, but might still be missing a few more features and is not heavily tested yet. The beta stage comes after the alpha stage, and it's when all features are complete, but the game has still a lot of bugs to be fixed. Now, some people would say, where are we when it comes to this? If you guys remember when Star Citizen first came out, they didn't say they were alpha. They actually said they were pre-alpha, and there is a definition for pre-alpha. pre-alpha. Well, I think they're gonna talk about that in a second. Let me keep reading. There is much more to alpha and beta phases than just simple definitions. However, these definitions can give you a general idea about the terms and their usage in the game development world. The rest of this article will be going into more details about pre-alpha, the alpha and beta stages of game development. Before we dive into that, it's worth noting that these terms alpha and beta stages are not exclusive to game development. Instead, these terms are also used to describe the life cycle of software development in general. In other words, an app or a website that has nothing to do with video games also goes through these stages of development. With that said, here are more details about each of these mentioned game development stages. Now, I'm saying this because I've talked to several people who are game developers and then software developers, and both of them have told me this, that the phrases of alpha could mean something different to each company. And so a lot of folks maybe have a definition in mind based on something they've heard before, but it may not apply to the situation they're in. So in other words, CIG has its own unique, Bethesda has their own unique, everybody has their tweak or their twist to what alpha and beta means, okay? I mentioned about CIG being in pre-alpha when it first came out. Here's the question. What is the pre-alpha stage of a game development? The pre-alpha stage actually refers to several stages of game development instead of one. It is basically everything that happens before the game reaches a state that includes most of its major planned features, if not all of them. First is the game idea. You can't just start building a video game without having a solid idea of what the game is going to look like. After the game idea comes pre-production phase, where all of the game features are decided and planned. Game designers start suggesting ideas about what the game will look like, how the game will work, and what mechanics and features are going to be included in the game. This part of the game development journey is extremely important. When you have everything planned from the very beginning, the development team will be able to follow a more structured approach throughout their development journey. Concept artists are usually heavily involved in the pre-production phase. We know that. The artists help in visualizing the game's ideas and features that are being suggested and tossed around. They use sketches and illustrations to demonstrate how certain mechanics work or how the character will look and so on. After all the features are planned, the production of the game begins. Engineers, artists, managers, and others start working tirelessly to bring the ideas and features planned to life. Once most of or all of the planned features are complete, the pre-alpha stage comes to an end. Okay. Now, would you say that Star Citizen is pre-alpha still or alpha? Now, the reason why it's going to be difficult to answer this is because they say that, hey, who's that? Oh, Doc Brown. Thank you. Thank you for that follow. Thank you. The reason why I have difficulty with this one is, or the determining factor in this is that we don't have all the information from CIG. And the question is, are when they say our game features completed, is that from our perspective or from CIG's perspective? Does CIG have the bulk of the features that they want to do pretty much done on their end, with them, but they just haven't given it to us? And the reason why they haven't given it to us could be a lot of reasons. I mean, there could be reasons that are technical reasons with the network back end. They may be dependencies that something else has to be in game before they can give us certain things. I don't know. There's some features that they seem like they're still working on. So I still, a lot of times, feel like they're still in a pre-alpha state. But some people say that alpha still leaves room for that you could maybe not have everything done yet and still be an alpha, that it's not and goes into beta. Now, this definition said that when you get into beta, you're dealing with bugs. And that may be true. Seems like most of the time when video games in particular, go into beta, they're really past the point of bugs. There may still be some bugs just because of the amount of people coming onto the thing and seeing whether or not the server capacities and loads are there. But a lot of times there's polish going on, or maybe some things that they thought maybe weren't going to work. So they go back and look at the beta and see how the people are working, and they say, nah, it's not working. We need to tweak it. But, there are bugs still in beta. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not sure where they are when it comes to this with CIG. I think they're somewhere between alpha and pre-alpha still, but I could be wrong. They may be 100% alpha. And I'm just going by these definitions. If their definition says that what they have completed so far puts them in an alpha state, then that's where they are as alpha. Okay. A video game moves to the alpha stage when almost of its features are complete. At this stage, the game is mostly probably a lot of major bugs that need to be dealt with and maybe a few more features that need to be added. Okay, which was what we just said. During the alpha stage, the game starts to get tested by a large number of people. These testers' sole job is to try to break the game and then report the bugs that they find back at the development to the development team. The reports can be related to technical issues, or they can be reports about how the game mechanics feel, the balance inside the game, and so on. This phase is also about the back and forth between development team and quality assurance team, QA. The loop looks something like this. The development team sends the latest version of the game to the testers. The game developers receive feedback and reports from the testers, and they build a new version of the game that addresses the reports, and then they send new version back to be tested. Once all of the features of the game gets implemented, once all of the disastrous known bugs get fixed, the game then moves to beta. Okay. So the reason why I read this again is because of what was mentioned in Squadron 42. There were a couple of places in there where they talked about some of the teams were moving from alpha to beta. And so that may mean that what they were working on, since it was animation, the things that they were working on, their projects that they were at, they had been pretty much gotten them where they needed to be as far as that level of what they were working on was completed. And now they're moving it to the next level. Okay. But it does not mean that Star Citizen has moved, or Squadron 42, I should say, because they were in the Squadron 42 report. The Squadron 42 has moved into beta testing yet. Okay. There are aspects of it, though. It doesn't mean that everything has to move at once. Different departments, different sections, different things can slowly, one by one, say, okay, we've wrapped up our work in the alpha stage. We're ready to go to beta level. And then once everything's in there, then that's when it starts to become where Squadron actually looks at as being beta. Okay, beta. All right. All right. I'll read this beta part just because it's here. What is the beta stage of game development? During the beta stage, the game features get locked. In other words, everything that's supposed to be in that's it. They pretty much think that whatever they're going to throw into the pot for cooking is there. The main rule when it comes to the beta phase is no new features, please. Okay. No new features, please, which implies that once you get there, what you got is it. Now that's in the beta level. In the alpha level, if there's some things that they decide, oh, we didn't think we could do this, we're going to put this in. Well, that's still room for them to do that. That's not feature creep, because I'm just telling you, it's not feature creep. It's just the fact that they can have a lot of things that they think they can try, think that they want to do. And I'll always use this as an example of how when Star Citizen first came out, we weren't supposed to be able to land anywhere on a planet. Okay. And they said, maybe later, maybe at some point, years down the road, we'll do that. But then guess what? They figured it out and it became added, right? So that's it. Is it Forxa? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm slaughtering it, but thank you. Thank you for that follow. Appreciate you. So what is beta? Content and bug fixing are the main tasks during beta stage of the game development. Art gets polished, placeholders get replaced with the actual planned art, dialogues are expanded, game balance gets fine-tuned, and so on. During this stage, the developers won't be adding new features. However, they will be fixing and fine-tuning the features that they already have. The game during the beta stage is usually still very buggy. During this phase, the access to the game is widened, and the development team dedicates their time to fix the bugs that the testers and players face. Once the game reaches a stable version where no known major bugs are happening, the game is marked as complete and is ready for full release. One thing I think is interesting here is the fact that very last line talks about stability. Notice there was nothing about stability in the alpha, pre-alpha, or beta stages. Okay, it wasn't there. So in other words, instability can always exist. It may not always happen, but instability is just one of those things that can happen. And I know a lot of times people will say, well, I'm waiting on Star Citizen to become stable, or it's unstable. It comes with the road. It comes with the game the way it is right now. And I know instability is extremely, extremely frustrating when you're trying to play the game. I know that it is difficult not to feel like you want to play the game, and we should be able to play the game. That was part of the deal that we had when we decided to back it, that we get to play. But it was also said play test. That was the other term that was used, that we'd be able to play test the game. And so Along with that word play comes the word test. And that means that it means bugs, it means glitches, it means all that stuff. And so the demands for CIG to say, you need to be putting out a game that's stable, it would be nice, but it is not mandatory. It is not. And I know that that is not a popular thing to say. You may feel differently about it, but even say, well, I paid my money, it should be stable. No, they could do their best to make it stable. But as long as it's in these development states, instability is always something that could happen. Doesn't have to. Sometimes we get a patch and things run well. And there are those days when we get a patch and it's terrible. But unfortunately, that's just what comes with the turf. Okay, in conclusion, the alpha and beta stages are final stages of game development before the game can be marked as complete. These stages involve finalizing the game, features and content, and fixing the bugs that are reported by the quality assurance team and all the other regular gamers and testers that have early access to the game. Okay, so I'm going to drop the link in for this for you guys into the chat. I think I am. Can I do that? I can't do it from here. That sucks. But I'll make sure I put it on the YouTube video where this is. You guys can find it later on. Check the YouTube channel. Check my YouTube channel and look for this video, and the link will be there. I think that's some really great information. Okay, we have gotten through all of the tough stuff here. I want to go to, and I'm not sure, if nobody comes in, my feelings will not be hurt. But I mentioned to you guys that this is the time we redo This Week in Star Citizen, but it's also the time that we're going to do what I call Thursday Therapy. And this is going to be where you get to come in and talk about, since we just got finished talking about alpha and beta, maybe some of the frustrations that you have in relation to the development of Star Citizen or Squadron 42. If you've got some thoughts about it, opinions about it, rants about it, I actually am saying, feel free to come in and talk to me. There's a link there where you can come in, click and come into my Discord, and I'll bring you in and you can share your thoughts about it. I know for me, the other day I was playing, and this was like one of those real random things that happened. I was, over the last few weeks, I've been looting and playing the game, and you find stuff, you bring stuff, you have all these guns, weapons, all this other stuff, and I store things at different locations. And for about a month, I was hanging out at Microtech, and I was bringing a lot of stuff into Microtech and storing it. And anyway, to make a long story short, I probably had I don't know, if I estimated it in UEC, anywhere from like 75 to 100,000 of stuff, just stuff. Then I said, oh, there's a certain quantum drive that I wanted. And I was like, well, you know what? It's only sold here at Microtech. Let me get it. And then I'm going to transport this thing. And I'm going to take it back to my base at R-Corp. And anyway, to make a long story short, I packed up my 315P, reliable ship, reliable. And I put all the stuff into it. I'm all set. I'm ready to go. And I realized I didn't have a flight suit. I always keep a flight suit and a helmet in my ships. And whenever I say I'm going to leave one, I forget. I run off the ship with my flight suit on and I always forget. So just for the sake of telling myself that, I'm not going to forget, I took my helmet off, took my flight suit off, and I put it in my ship's inventory. I sat down and I flew back, in my underwear, flew back to R-Corp. As I was approaching R-Corp, about to deliver my stuff at home, and I'm coming out of Quantum, it says Quantum Drive ending, and it goes zoom, and R-Corp zooms up. I literally flew out of the ship, out into space. No flight suit on, no helmet. And about $250,000 worth of stuff continued to go on and went to crash into the planet. It was not a good day. But anyway, it happens, right? All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our first person here who's going to come in and talk with us. And that's, let me see, look like another voice channel. Are you sure you want to switch? Yes, okay. I'm going to come in with Araxa. Araxa, are you there?
I am here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for coming in. You are my very first person to come in for this new topic that I'm doing. So thank you for coming out and talking to me.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. I actually watch Soul Citizen sometimes.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that's how
you found
that's how you're streaming them.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. Yeah. Share with me. This is Thursday Therapy Thursday. I'm still trying to figure out which title. Which one would you say? Therapy Thursday or Thursday Therapy? Which one would you say?
I like Thursday therapy.
Thursday therapy. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to go
Yeah.
with that. Since you were the first one here, I'm going to officially keep that title because you said it. Okay. So the voting's
Wow.
over. All right. There we go. All right. The voting's done. So what what did you want to share?
Well, what exactly did you want to talk about
Well,
specifically?
the idea is for this particular segment is to give both people who are backers of the game, maybe people who are maybe ain't that thrilled about the game, an opportunity to come in and talk about, what is the frustrations or what are the things that they think are the difficulties going through the development of Star Citizen or Squadron
Ah,
42. What are
right,
the,
right,
are there frustrations? Are there, how do you handle the frustrations? Any of that stuff. That's what we can talk about.
right, right. Well, for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I would say the frustration for me would be the frame rate, like the performance.
Okay.
If that went up, like if we had Vulkan in the game,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would smooth things out for a lot of people,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially with all their hardware. So like frame rate's a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing would probably be the server frame rate.
Yeah.
Like right now it's like running at what, like 5 frames,
Yeah.
5 to
Sometimes it
10
drops down
frames.
to 4 or 5. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the desync is another thing which is huge.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about
So
performance, if you don't mind me asking. What are you running for a rig roughly for your CPU and GPU?
for me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm running a pretty beefy rig.
Okay.
So I got a 4090 for my
Okay.
GPU,
Okay.
and I have a 7800X 3D.
And what are you getting for
So like
frames roughly in like the best places and in the worst places? What are you getting?
mm, I would say like in Orison, like
Mm-hmm.
around the busy area in Orison, I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably getting like 45,
Okay.
and that's like with my rig.
Okay.
And then in space it goes up to like 130.
Mm-hmm. So Orison's
So
probably the most dense place where you really see the fall off
yes.
happen. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
the landing zones have always been like for some people, certain places, especially like when they brought in the clouds and stuff, that freaked out a lot of people's rigs. They had to pull back their detail because
Yeah.
it was just too much. I'm running a 3090 3950X Ryzen 9 with a 2880 Super NVIDIA
Okay.
card. And I'm getting where you're getting 45, I might be getting like 30, 2830.
Right.
And in space, it could be anywhere from 60 to 75, maybe something like that. Um, to your point, and it's kind of funny because sometimes, like, and I really agree with you. I think even more about the server tick rate because that
Mhm.
really gets bad. Now, I've had those days, and I think you may have too, where you log in and you're lucky enough to be one of the few people on the freaking server, and it's like between 20 and 30 frames, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But those are not
Oh, man.
very frequent. They're not very frequent, but they do happen from time to time. And when those times happen, the game it's almost scary because you get so used to the low frame rate performance.
Right.
Have you ever done that before where you go someplace where the AI are actually working like the way they're supposed to?
I've had that happen
Mm-hmm.
in the PTU,
Yeah.
like, there wasn't too many people online,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw, like, a glimpse of what the AI could be like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was crazy. It was probably running at, like, 20, almost 30 FPS, the
Yes.
server. It was great.
Yes. I remember Disco talking about it on one of the shows when they first put in the Siege of Orison, and he was talking about how deadly the AI were. But then once people came in, how they became all idiots, right? And I had that happen once. I went into
Yeah.
a bunker, and you get used to going to a bunker. You can solo bunkers, right? So it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
This is no joke. This is what I did. And I'm not kidding. You know how you come down the elevator and you've got those first set of crates there? And so
Mhm.
I went behind the crates on the right. I did like this and it went pow. It was it.
Oh, no.
I was like, what? And I knew the rate was, I checked the server rate before I went down there and it was like running at like 25, 30. And I couldn't believe it. It wasn't that quick, but it was long enough that I kept my head out just maybe an extra second too long. And they popped me that quick. And I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
crazy. And so,
And then you
mhm,
you
but
have people that complain about the AI, but they don't realize that the AI is,
yeah,
like, it's pretty top tier.
yeah,
It's just because of the
it's the
servers.
servers, right? And so, and I know that's the frustration. It really is because obviously people want the challenge of the game. I mean, I want the challenge. I really do. but it truly, like you said, I think the phrase you used was good. You said it gave you a glimpse of what it
Hmm.
actually could be. So yeah, I think everything that you're suggesting is you don't need therapy. I think you're 100% good.
Yeah.
I know you've identified some things that you've identified. Here's the problem, but here's also the fix, right? And if those things happen,
Yes.
we might see those things start to go away. In performance for everybody, I do know. I
Exactly.
know
Exactly.
when CIG first did this, and we talked about this I think last week, last Saturday. I remember when this game first came out, almost everybody's assumption or feeling, and even CIG kind of made you feel this way, you'd have to have a really beefy rig to play this game. You know what I mean?
It's
If
true.
you had a low end computer, it was like don't even think about it. And everybody was like, "Oh, I've got to update, or I've got to get this, or I've got to get me a new this." And but then over time, CIG did start to make it where moderate rigs, like my rig is a moderate rig. My rig is going on the third year now to me. And some people may say that my rig is a powerful rig. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Because I'm in the 2800 series of graphics cards where people are now in the 4000 series. But
Right.
but my game doesn't it doesn't my computer never bothers me where it is right now. You know what I mean? I don't ever feel like, oh, it's time for me to get an upgrade. I can still play
Right.
the
It's
game.
playable. It's pretty
It's
good.
playable. Yep. And I think that CIG knows that yeah, you could say you want to cater to the higher end rigs, but I think they also know that from a practicality standpoint, you know, let me share this one last story with you. I hope I'm not keeping you too long, but I want to share one quick story.
Oh, no worries.
When I did this upgrade to the computer that I have now, I think I was running a 1070. I was running 32 gig of RAM, and I
Okay.
can't remember, the processor was an older processor, like 5 years old, right? And so I remember when I was at 16 gig of RAM, when I went to 32, I saw a definite improvement in performance, right? There was definitely, I could tell the difference in how the game played. But then when I got to this next point, it was like, okay, I know I got to get a new rig. So I've told this story a long time ago, but when I logged out of the game before I built my new rig, I forgot that I had logged out on the reclaimer in the bed. So I, logged out, break down the old computer, get the new one. I built the new computer. So it took a couple of days. Finally get it
Right.
all set. I log in and forgot that I had logged out on the reclaimer. So when I woke up on the reclaimer. All of a sudden, I saw all this stuff that I had never seen before. And I didn't realize that my previous processor and my previous GPU were only putting out a certain level of graphical detail. I didn't
Oh,
realize that all of the particle effects, certain steam, all this other stuff that I didn't see before, I was seeing all of a sudden. And I remember feeling very
interesting.
frustrated by that because I was like, this is the level of immersion and detail I paid to get into this for, and I've been playing this the last 3 years
Right.
and had no idea that this was in the game. Because I didn't have a friend's house that I would go over and see them in a really high end rig to see it, and so
Right.
I didn't realize it. And I'm like, wow, all this time I thought that this was all there was to the game. Now I'm seeing all this other hard work and detail that they had put into the game. So I know
Right.
if that
Right.
was that way for me, I'm sure there are other players whose rigs maybe don't, they can't set their settings at a certain place to
Right.
see everything. And they have to compromise, as you mentioned, for performance sake. They've got to go to that different setting or they can't run, a certain widescreen or whatever. They have to run the game a certain way in order to enjoy it.
Right.
But I hope you're right. I agree. I think that, like you said, Vulkan, them getting the server frame rate up, getting the desync out
Oh
of
yeah.
there, and definitely the
Oh yeah.
server tick rate. That's going to all have impact. So that's great stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, those were my top two things,
Okay.
pretty
Well,
much.
listen. Thank you so much for dropping in. Like I said, you kicked this off today. We really appreciate it. Okay.
Awesome, man. It was great talking to you, Griffin.
Come back anytime, my friend.
Awesome.
Okay. Take care.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Okay. Anybody else who wants to come in at Thursday therapy? He gave some great comments and some great thought, and he didn't need any medication. I didn't have to give him anything. He was okay. He was okay. He had a good perspective. But you know what? If you don't have a good perspective, that's okay because this game is no small. It takes a lot. I tell people all the time, you have to have a little bit of intestinal fortitude, I think, to be able to be in Star Citizen. At least I think you do. At least he did a great job. Oh, Admiral went back to work. Okay, Admiral, I'm sorry I didn't see you when you left. Oh, he's here. Okay, let me jump back up here with Admiral real quick, and we'll get him in before he goes back to work. Okay, Admiral Kusanagi,
Hey, how's it going?
how are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Let me just
Good.
hook up my headset real quick. I
Okay,
thought
yeah,
I had it
sure, sure,
in. We're
sure.
all set.
You're
Okay, so what
coming
am
in
I
for
supposed to be
Thursday
asking?
therapy? I can't believe it.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm like, what's this Thursday therapy? What am I supposed to be talking about?
Did you hear? Did you hear
I
me?
didn't catch the beginning of it. I was just getting off. I said on my thing I had a work call, so I wasn't able to
Oh, okay.
listen
Yeah,
to that one
Thursday
segment.
therapy is for backers or non-backers to come in and talk about their struggles, their feelings about the development of Star Citizen, and whether they've got frustrations or questions, or that's basically what this time is for them able to come in and get some stuff off their chest.
That's a great question. Because sometimes many people here have probably seen Zoolander.
Huh?
And if you remember Zoolander, when Mugatu is like, he's like, I invented the piano necktie. Like, I invented it. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. And I feel like some of the people, well, many people who follow Star Citizen are taking, like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because it's like they just have this, like, they expect it to come out in a couple years. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, yeah, I think you guys need to, like, tamper your expectation.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, if you've been yeah, that's what gets me right now is just like, yeah, I'm
Okay.
talking to people in chat and I'm like, am I like making like problems like on the streamers, like, to like
Mm.
set people off? I know like there was a person that you and I talked to on probably Tonight Show
Uh-huh.
who was like, oh, I want it out as soon as possible. Like they need to give us something now and I'm like, dude, it's like I'm looking at like the late 20s, 2020s, if not 2030s. Like I don't like 2020, 2030, 2032. So because of Squadron 42's, important.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just feel like I'm taking crazy pills at times, dealing with some in the community, and
Mm.
trying to maintain those friends at the same time without like hurting their feelings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because when I started following this in 2016, I didn't expect I'd be still, waiting for it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you really get into it, you look at the previous videos, they haven't retracted from anything. They just make something more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so I just see it being more intricate and needing more time to put that stuff into place. Like I think I talked to you the other day about, how many
Mm-hmm.
systems I think it's supposed to be in the game. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
No, I don't think you are. It's a tough one because, part of the way we feel as gamers is also because of the way that we have been. I don't want to use the wrong word because trained isn't the word I want to say. Part of the way we feel is because of our experience of the gaming industry. Okay. For example, remember when we used to have things like E3, for example, right? Everybody tuned in to watch E3. E3 was the announcement for something that was going to come out, right? There's whatever the new game is. And you'd sit there and watch that, and they would say, like, this is 2023 right now. They'd say coming second quarter 2024. Or they may say coming in 2025, right? At the most, maybe, I don't remember too many times they went beyond 2 years of announcing when a game was going to come out. And so when people saw the whether it was a cinematic or something in game, and that's every developer, every company that comes up to the screen, comes up to the mic next, is saying, here's what we're working on. You'll be getting this in your Xbox. You'll be getting this on PC within, by next year, by next fall, by Christmas 2025. That becomes the expectation. And so we get used to when something gets announced, when we see enough of it that looks like it's put together fairly well, that, okay, they're almost there. That's kind of what subconsciously, that as human beings, we see that. And that's the way the industry has delivered material to us in the past. And so that's part of it, how the industry has presented stuff to us. Then there's been changes in the industry from things such as early access and beta. Before, we used to get beta. People would get invites to come in and beta test a game. You went in, you saw it and said, okay, this is what needs to be done. This is what's better. And you always felt that once we're in beta, once they get through with this, then after this, the game is going to come out. Then they went to early access. Early access became a way for independents to be able to say, here's an idea of what we want to produce. We're going to let you taste test it. And if you really like this, and you support us financially, we need more money to make the rest of this vision come true. So early access started going from beta like 1 year out to early access, sometimes being 2, 3, 4 years out. Like I remember playing 7 Days to Die. 7 Days to Die was in early access for freaking at least 6 years. At least 6 years playing that game. Might be still, I don't even, never even got released officially. But I played that as early access for a long time. But I could play the game, and it had bugs and things, but it was really when it first come out, it was always horrible. But then after a while they get the patches, it would be working good. Okay. So that was usually the biggest amount of time you had to wait, but at least it was early access and you could play it. So here comes Star Citizen that comes in and says, we're not going to talk about beta. We're not going to talk about alpha. We're going to talk about pre-alpha. And we're going to talk about you seeing it from the point of concept. Well, that's something nobody did, right? And so, and you're going to be able to play it and test it. Now, I can't think of too many times where anybody created a game with that. And we're going to be ambitious and try to do some things that nobody's done. In fact, we're going to produce 2 games simultaneously. Now, ain't nobody ever came to the pulpit and said that. But our expectations have been based upon what the industry has done previously of a 2-year announcement, a 1-year announcement, a 6-month announcement, a beta announcement, or even an early access announcement. And Star Citizen is even earlier than that. So you're not eating crazy pills. It's just there is an adapting that I think gamers who want to back this have to do, first of all, to protect their own sanity. And secondly, do their best to explain it. Now, I don't want to sound, I'm going to avoid what I was going to say. People also have strong beliefs in things, very strong beliefs in things. And sometimes even when you present, the evidence of why maybe they should reconsider or possibly give some room or think differently, sometimes they hold on to their beliefs so much because that's what their experiences have been and that's all they've experienced. Then it's very difficult for them to sometimes say, oh, well, maybe here's an exception. And so, because there's nobody else doing it, right? So it's a very difficult thing. Admiral, I was just watching a video the other day talking about Star Atlas, and I believe you guys, I'm not throwing any shade at Star Atlas because they're struggling to do some things, but they want to do some positive things. But Star Atlas is saying that in order for them to get Unreal 5 going and get the game going to the level that they want, I think they said that their amount of money is somewhere around, they need $400 million to do that. Now, they said that and nobody's coughed. Nobody's said a word. And they're NFTs and nobody has hardly said a word. But Star Citizen did it, and I'm not saying like I'm poking fun. I'm saying when Star Citizen did it, it raised a brow. Well, why? Because nobody had done that before. It had never been done. That type of money being raised on a crowdfund seemed ridiculous. It seemed, and for people who were, and I'm going to use the word ignorant, oblivious to the amount of money it takes to develop a game, when you say $200 million or $300 million, they think, whoa, that's a lot of money. That's not a lot of money in game development. That's an average number in game development, a low number for some folk. Who are we going to say? I'm sorry, you're going to say something?
Was that before or after they laid off like 75% of their workforce?
That was a number that they have talked about before, but I just heard it repeated recently again. And that's the other struggle that they've got because, them putting everything into Unreal Engine, and I've said this before about Unreal. Unreal's a beautiful engine, but we don't really I have not seen a game yet that really shows its full potential in an MMO scenario. I haven't seen it yet. And I'm not saying it can't be done, but we know that the resources and the demands of Unreal Engine 5 running, just even when you're running the simulations and small stuff, are pretty demanding. And so it's going to be interesting to see what it's going to take, not only in dollars for them to produce that game, but time. They've been out now, 3 years, 4 years maybe, that they've been doing it. And they're just now getting their Hangar module out this past year, which is no different than what CIG did. CIG took about 3 years before their Hangar module came out. It's almost identical.
But the funding model seems just like way, way different.
Oh, it is, because their funding model is based on the market where, the volatility of it, right? Like when you buy a ship in Star Citizen or you back in Star Citizen, You buy a Cutlass Red, a Cutlass, no, Cutlass costs $100. Okay, it's $100, and whether the market changes or not, COVID, whatever, it was still $100. But with NFTs, they came in at the peak of that particular interest in the market in crypto, and it was hot. They were selling bored monkeys. All this stuff fueled the excitement behind that. But then when the market, first of all, it fell off. The interest fell off. Then the market happened with FTX, right? And so those ships that were running $2,000 went from $2,000 to $800 or $700. My ship that cost $20 went from $20 to $3. So how are you going to raise revenue when you have a market that's now if there's a bull market, you could do it. People will jump in there, but it went bare. And I don't know what they're going to do to raise more funds. There are some things that they're trying to do, but they've had to cut their staff. They had to reduce them by over 100 people. I think they've only got like 70 people now working for them, or 45 people. I forget what the number is, but they had to reduce their staff dramatically. It was a tough call for them to do, but fortunately, a lot of the stuff that they had, evidently, the problem with that is that the runway now, the more people you have, the shorter your runway to a certain degree, right? That's why when you have somebody designing a game and they say, well, it's only a small team or a team of 1 or 2, 3 people, but it takes a long time to get the game out. That's because the runway is longer, because they need more time, because they don't have the resources as far as people go, and they don't have the money to bring more people in to help expedite the work. So now Star Atlas, where before they were saying 2025, who knows? We're 2 years out from that. They've cut their staff by over 50%. Is 2025 still going to be the target date? Then put something in our hands that's playable, or is it going to be 2027 now or 2028 now? Would that be putting them at 8 years into their thing? So it's a tough thing.
I don't know if I don't know. I mean, there are companies that, I'll just say this, there are companies out there that don't have to stay open. Many, like, I forget, I know you talked about the guy who was competing against Star Citizen at the initial kind of crowdfunding thing, and I can't remember the guy's name. I know you showed the video about his dream for his version of Star Citizen would be, and then that kind of fell short and just fell off the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have concerns that type of business model for Star Atlas is viable, especially when they're cutting staff already.
Yeah.
And the economy is not getting, inflation's kind of like out of control, and other things.
Yeah.
But in terms of Star Citizen, I think that it's very viable. It's been working for quite some time, and I think eventually it will come out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be much older than I think I am now, and I think Squadron 42 is going to be excellent, and I know, and that seems more viable, at least in the short term, rather than PU. I just think PU is just like so far out there, people don't understand.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I would say that Squadron 42, that is the game development, the traditional game development model. Okay, Star Citizen, the PU, the persistent universe, is going to be an evolution. And people always say, when is it going to be released? I just think it's going to be an evolution. I think it's going to be continually something that they're going to evolve and develop and build out. Will there be a point where they say this is it? I don't know. Because for me, I've said this before, if they get to the point where most of the features that they've suggested, like the ones we know about, and if they've got like 5 systems in, to me, that's big. If the features are in and they've got 5 systems, they can just keep putting out systems after that, as far as I'm concerned. But the features have got to be in. It's not as big. It doesn't have to be that the space has to be big. We could be in Stanton, but they need to get the features into the game. Because again, as I read about alpha and beta, that's when you've moved on. When you lock it in, when you've locked in and said, okay, we've got the features in that we want now. Now we just got to get everything to be working.
That's I forget who I was talking to. I'm like, that was my main concern regarding like going into Pyro. I'm like, why are we going into Pyro? We don't even have anything in science or anything in engineering besides making a Moby device like that I can use as a tractor beam.
Yeah,
that's like the only thing they have for engineering anything.
Yeah,
they haven't done modules. There's no base building yet. They've talked about it. They're like, oh, this is going to be in the game, and when whatever Pyro, whatever, and they're going to introduce radiation when Pyro comes out, which I understand too. But in terms of like just the science industry, there's so much more to be done in Stanton. It's just like
Yeah.
I know people are itching to get to something new, something different, and to be a little less lawful.
But space without purpose is just space, right? And that's the problem, right? It's no different than when you play. We talk about Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is beautiful, 1-to-1 ratio, but there's nothing but space in a lot of places. There's nothing when you get there. So yeah, once we fly to Pyro and we look around and we see that there's nothing going on, we're going to be empty again.
It'd be like, when's Nick's coming out?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we have to do all this other stuff.
And nothing, right. They just opening space up doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. You're right. We understand why we want to go there. We want to see something different, but there has to be something there to do. There have to be players there. There needs to be AI there. There needs to be game features there in order for that extra space to become more meaningful for us, And that is the next level where we're going to go. I mean, that's where we have to go. And I think CIG, we know they've been testing the greater capacity in the servers. We know that they're working on static server meshing. We know that Vulkan is being worked on. So those elements are in the mix now, where a few years ago they weren't, not as much, but we know that they're there now.
Yeah, and that's another one of my grind my gears moments, is the fact that, we've got server populations at, like, say, 110, 120, if you're, 120 is pushing it, but, and then, they're like, well, it's for service stressing, and it's like, whereas, they're seeing what the NPCs can handle, see what it takes to get an actual 30K, because from what I understand from, I think it was the Digital Bar Citizen, they were talking about, how many entities the server can handle, and that's one of the reasons it causes, like, a major reason it causes 30Ks.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they just had like a 30v30 and not the extra 30 on that event, then maybe if they got bombed, they wouldn't have just crashed the server right then and there, when ReferNet hit it. Yeah. But I mean, because NPCs work like John Wick if you've got a 40-person server. If it's just like 40 people in there, people are like, no matter where you go, the NPCs are like John Wick, whether they're flying a ship or they're on the ground shooting at you.
Yep.
But as soon as you get up there, it's just like, man, this is a kind of crappy time, because you walk up to an NPC, shoot them, you probably even put like way more bullets than you should have to, because the lag is so bad. So they really need to get what you're talking about with server meshing and all the other Vulkan stuff like that in to like make it more streamlined. Yep, so it's just we're still stress testing. Thank you for your time.
That's good stuff. No, thank you for dropping in. Good stuff. Thank you. You were certified. You about a certified sane, by the way. You're okay. You don't have to worry about it.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
I see there's 12 people in chat. That means there's 11 other people, or at least 10 other people.
Well, that's if they want to come in. If they want to come in, they're more than welcome to. All right, but thank you, Admiral. Appreciate it.
All right, somebody has to come in and talk about your Star Wars shirt.
Oh, my Star Wars shirt. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Sam.
You're getting ready for. I know you're getting ready for that. Is it Ahsoka?
Ahsoka, yeah. Ahsoka's in a couple weeks. Yep, we're almost there. Yeah, about 12 days now. I think 13 days, so we're almost there.
All right, perfect.
All right,
thanks,
buddy. Have a good day. All right. If anybody else wants to come in, you're more than welcome. But if not, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, Admiral. Appreciate you coming in. That was great what you shared. And yes, you are certifiably sane. You're okay. Ops Chief, good to see you, buddy. I'm glad to see you here. Good. Thanks for stopping by. Who else is there? Jolly Green Giant. Thank you. Thank you, man. Good to see you. Let's see who else. Shady Face. Oh, Warframe. That's a good question. You know what? I was never a big Warframe player, Shady, but if it might be. Warframe's been around for a little while. I know there are some games that literally have stayed in beta or early access for literally years. Doc Brown, the War for Jumptown. Good to see you, Doc Brown. Thanks for stopping by as well. Okay. Well, I think that's it for Thursday Therapy. Thank you guys for being able to come by and hang out with me today. I really appreciate it. As I mentioned before, I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, midday, right around 12 noon. On Tuesdays, we've been doing the series 10 for the Chairman. We've taken about 2 or 3 episodes during that time. They're only like 15 minutes long, 10, 15 minutes long. But we talk about them. We break them down, go back and hear Chris's original vision, do comparisons about what we know is in the game, some stuff that maybe got thrown out, stuff that we can look forward to. But it's kind of a reminder because a lot of people never saw that series. And so they don't know what the full vision for Star Citizen and Squadron 42 are. So that's a great time on Tuesdays at 12 noon. And then also, as I mentioned, today is when we do This Week in Star Citizen and we do Thursday Therapy. And so thank you again, you guys, for hanging out with me today. I really, really appreciate it. Don't forget, on Friday nights, do a little bit of gaming. So I may be here tomorrow night. I'll see how that goes. I got a kind of a crazy week this week. But I'll be here in the evenings. On Fridays, I'm here in the evening playing Star Citizen. And if you guys want to come hang out with me and play with me too, because I always welcome people to come and get in the server with me and we go hang out. We had a great time last week. We had so much fun last week. So if you guys want to join me for that, you're more than welcome to. Let's see. Don't forget Sunday. I'm sorry. Boy, tonight, first off, Soul Citizens is going to be doing Soul Talk with Fast Cart. So you guys, that'll be at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern time. 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight with Fast Cart. And then on Saturday, we'll be doing Soul Voices. I'll be doing that at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be doing a show called The Stars of Squadron 42. We're going to be going into the background of the people who are going to be doing the voice acting and character acting for Squadron 42. People like Mark Hamill, people like Gary Oldman, John Rhys Davies. We're going to be talking about all that. We're going to be looking at some clips from their films and having a great conversation about these great actors that Chris Roberts has been able to secure for Squadron 42. So we want you guys to be able to stop by for that on Sunday. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you as always. Those of you who followed, thank you so much. For anyone who subscribed, thank you for that as well. Really appreciate you guys being here on a Thursday afternoon. I hope you have a wonderful day. And as I always say, peace, love, and soul. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.